Hey everybody, Clskinny here. We're actually going to be doing Dungeon Hunter Champion Guild Wars today. Been meaning to get around and putting together a guide on this, so we're going to make it happen. So Dungeon Hunter Champions recently released Guild Wars content. It's available to you obviously if you're in a guild. You can access it by going to the battlefield icon and then going to Guild Wars. From there, it'll give you a cool little animation showing you who you're fighting against if you already started the fight. Then you get this nice little screen here. The way it breaks out is you have 3 attacks and you have to make the most of those attacks. So in this case, I can see all the enemies here, and right here I can see their BR or battle rating, as well as how many points I'll get if I defeat them. Also over here on the right, it looks like I've earned some defense awards. That's meaning that my defense has successfully defeated some enemies. So I'll just go ahead and claim those right now and get the totally unnecessary little cutscene. And then from here, now I can actually see all the other enemies I can fight. Now, with Guild Wars, there's some general rules of conduct, specifically the rule of +6. The idea is that you should not be attacking opponents where the total bonus points is more than 6. This will help balance out points across the guild and make sure everybody gets a chance to get an equal amount of points. Also, for the more advanced players, they generally will try to go for the enemies with a higher BR rating. So looking at this screen right now, I can see what level that player is, what their battle rating is, and then how many bonus points I'll get if I defeat them. And then as I scroll to the right, I can see enemies that are worth less and less points, and you'll notice some of the enemies here are grayed out. That means they've already been defeated. Also, once I attack an enemy once, I cannot attack that enemy again. So let's get into some of the mechanics of it. Also, before we go into that, just want to show you right here on the bottom left hand corner, this shows you how many remaining attacks you have. Right now I have 3 attacks, and as I attack, these will fill in with little green squares. So now let's go ahead and get into it. I'm going to pick on this guy because it doesn't look like anybody's attacked him, and he's worth +3. Then from here I can see a breakout of what enemies I'm going to be fighting against and what teams I have. As with any other fight in the game, you can use this little button here to pick which synergy trait you want to use. Something worth noting, make sure you use a synergy trait that applies. So for instance, using the Water Magic Girl's synergy trait right here is not really going to do me a whole lot of good. Now, this is a previous team that I'd set up because I'd lost some of my better monsters, so we're going to reconfigure this a little bit, and I can see there's some light, fire support, and some more light damage. So I'm just going to go ahead and take in my Rhoda, my Manas, and my Water Magic Girl. The reason why is those are probably my best geared monsters for dungeon clearing. And now I'm going to pick up the next team. Oh, also I'm going to set that synergy trait. Oh, it looks like it's already set to Manas, which is good. And now let's go ahead and set up the next team. I'm leaning towards, let's see, they've got Rhoda. Oh, so let's try this. We're going to go with Xenia, the Water Munching Girl, and then the Dark Magic Girl. It's not giving us any bonus traits that I like. Let's drop her. Let's throw in Water Snake Lady and see if we get anything. Oh, accuracy will work. So now we go ahead and battle. This will take 10 energy off of our energy bar, and the battle's going to get started. Now, the way this is going to work is when the battle first starts, it's going to be in a pause state, meaning that both you and your enemy are going to sit there staring at each other until you engage the fight. The idea is that you want to kill the enemy more times than they kill you. You have to kill the enemy a total number of 9 times, which is reflected by this little bar up here. So when I kill the enemy, the red dots are going to disappear. When they kill me, the blue dots are going to disappear. Also, as I kill the enemy, there will be little skulls that appear next to the portraits of the players that I've killed, and vice versa. One of the things that's worth mentioning is if you get too many deaths on a particular champion, you lose the use of that champion for the rest of that particular guild war. Also, you have guardians, which we'll get into a little bit later. So in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and start auto, and then I'm going to focus that Fire Magic Girl, and it looks like this should be a pretty easy fight. Again, not very high level, not very well geared, but I want to make sure to stay on my toes because the last thing I want to do is accidentally lose the Rhoda, because she is my main heavy hitter. So, and for the most part, you can just let it cycle if you're fighting a weaker team. One of the things I want to make sure to point out is that when you select somebody to focus fire, be cognizant of where that opponent is on the board. If your team is over here on the left and that opponent is on the right and the 2 main frontliners are in between you and them, don't just push your team past that, because most likely they're probably going to die in the process as they're moving across. Now this team is obviously, I'm way overmatched, way overgeared. We're just doing this for demonstration purposes to talk about some of the finer points of it. Now again, here we go, next team, move back to full bars, And let's go ahead and auto, and we're going to focus that Rhoda because it's probably going to be the squishiest. Also, I'm just kind of curious to see how the water Munchkin girl does. So it looks like we already got some kills there. And for here, the opponents are dying too fast for me to even really focus fire, except for we get to these little stalls here. So just go ahead and select that water spearman. That's good. Nobody's died yet. And really, that's because that dark magic girl's pretty strong. She's got good heals, and she's got a ton of hit points. So there we go. So they got 2 more lives left. Doom. Oh no, the water munchkin, candy munchkin died. So we should be able to win that out pretty quickly. There we go. And then in turn, you're going to see what the results were. If you lose a monster, the portrait will actually be blacked out here, and you'll be able to tell which monsters you lost. And in turn, you'll see how many points you picked up. So I picked on an opponent that had a +2, so I only got 7 points. So now let's go back to the battle screen, and we'll see that little update there. So you can see there is the update of the fights that I've had. Also, if I want to see who's burned their fights, I can go to the war log and see what the success rate is of my allies. And then I can also set here the Guardian. This is what we saw up at the top of the fight screen. This is what gives you some benefits as to what you want to do. So you can have Stun, Purge, or Cleanse, and I can unlock the skills with the guild points. For right now, I'm going to be saving the guild points, and we'll focus on the rewards for the Guild Wars a little bit later. If I want to set my defense, I just click on this defense icon, and then I can see here, these are the defenses that I have set. Not the most ideal, but they're my best geared champions, so we're just going to leave that alone for right now. And it does reasonably well at the stage we're at. We're in what's considered a farming guild, so there are a couple of top levels players, but for the most part there's a lot of low level players. We lose a lot of guild battles, and it's really just here to farm points. So let's go ahead and move on to the next one. As based on the rule 6, I'm going to pick on somebody that's either a +2 or +1. And I usually try to focus on somebody that's got more hit points, because the more hit points on this bar, when I win, the more points go down on the top bar up there. So let's go ahead and I think it's apt to go for this guy because he's a 12,000 versus a 4,000. Well, let's go ahead and do this guy. And this should be an easy fight. Really, the big thing I'm going to be keeping an eye on, even though it's an easy fight, is I don't want to get lost and not pay attention and then lose a good monster and then I can't complete the next fight. The likelihood of that happening at this level, mainly because the BR delta between my teams and their teams is pretty low, but it can happen, and it's something you should just generally pay attention to until you get to a much higher level. There we go, fight's over. Let's go on to the next one. I'm going to focus that Astromancer, because she can be a bit of a pain in the butt. Alright, looks like it's pretty much a steamroll. Again, we are in a farming guild, meaning that we're not really competing against people of our skill level. And generally when we do get to people at our guild's skill level, or at least the skill level of some of the top tier players, we don't have enough top tier players to compete against the rest of that team, so we usually end up losing. So we may win a couple of the steamroll matches and then get pitted up against somebody of a similar rank and then lose a bunch. Alright, let's come on. Let's get that final kill. There we go. And there we go. And we get the +6 because we got +2 on each of them. And it doesn't look like we lost any monsters or champions, which is good. So now we get to go into the next fight and use all those same champions again. Remember, we're going to be focusing on someone that's either a +1 or lower because we're following the rule of 6. And we're also going to find somebody that's got high hit points and preferably a high BR rating. But looks like most of them are going to be taken, so we'll hop into this guy at 8k. And this should be very easy. So once we finish up this fight, we're going to go look at the guild store and talk about some of the rewards and give our opinions on what we think is worthwhile. For right now, since we're just in a farming guild, I'm good to definitely be saving my guild points for the rewards in the shop as opposed to using them on the Guardian like we saw earlier. That should be over fairly quickly. Really, at this point, when the champions are this low in comparison to you, you're more waiting for the champions to spawn than you are for your team to kill them. Go, start the fight, dun dun dun, and you'll notice the skulls here start turning colors as you get more kills against that opponent. In turn, if they get kills against you on your portraits, that color changes. Once the skulls go red, then you run the potential of losing that champion, meaning that you will not be able to use them for the rest of that particular the war with that guild. Now, once the next guild war starts, you'll have that champion back again. So there we go, 5 points. So all in all, pretty good for farming. So let's go ahead and check out the guild store and see what some of our rewards are. So go to Guild Wars, and you can see the different rewards here. So we've got Fire Disc, Water Disc, Nature Disc, just like we see in a lot of the other stores. Legendary Shards, which I don't think is a really good value. The Star Fuzzle Fluffs I think are a pretty good value because when you're trying to make 6 stars, these come in handy quite a lot. Wild Shards, so what you can do is you can actually use these to fill in the gap. So let's say you have 25 out of 30 Xenius Shards, you can buy these 5 Wild Shards and use those to fill in the gap. Deluxe Summons, or Exclusive Summons, as some people will call them. These are the big things that I'm going to be focusing on. Gun Mage tokens, as you get 100 of those, then you could buy this box and it'll randomly give you a Fire, Nature, or Water Gun Mage. You can also buy the Fox Assassins, but I find that these come pretty plentiful out of the rare discs, so I don't really see a lot of value in that. Also, the Legendary gear, the chance of this being a really bad piece of gear is really high. The upside is it is a +6, but if you get a +6 flat stat on shoulders, gloves, or bracers, you're going to be kind of kicking yourself for those 600 points you spent when you could have spent that points on a Gun Mage token. So that's it for DHC Guild Wars. Glad you guys tuned in. If you guys want to check out my Twitch channel, it's twitch.tv/Clskinny91. See you guys on the next video. Take it easy.